I'm Joni Patry, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Well, today I'd like to talk about a very important planetary configuration that will be forming throughout 2019. But it's good to become aware and prepared because it is already in effect now. What I'm talking about is Saturn coming together with Ketu. Now, Ketu is the south node of the moon, and Ketu represents losses. It represents disintegration. It pretty much annihilates or changes or dissolves whatever it's next to. So Saturn coming together with Ketu is going to cause some major change. And Ketu, first of all, is the south node of the moon, so it is one of the nodal axes, whereas Rahu is the north node of the moon. Rahu gives. Rahu is the materialistic world, but always gives with a price because it does deal with extremes. Whereas Rahu gives, Ketu takes away. So Ketu is that dissolving force, that energy, that sort of like cancels, some people say, but not really, because it is the spiritualizing force. Whereas Rahu is the materialistic force, Ketu is the spiritual force. So any planet that Ketu is next to, it deals with this spiritualizing energy, which is not necessarily of this world. People don't understand it because it takes away. But in that process of loss, it helps us better see the truth. And Saturn is reality and truth. Now, Saturn has been transiting in Sagittarius for quite some time, approximately over a year and a half. Saturn stays in a sign for 2.5 years. And Saturn will stay in Sagittarius between now and January, around the 20th to the 26th of January of 2020. So we have quite a long ways to go with Saturn transiting through the sign of Sagittarius. Now let me remind everyone, I am doing Vedic sidereal astrology. So tropical Western astrologers are looking at Saturn not being in Sagittarius, being in Capricorn, but it falls backwards a sign when we're looking at the true placements astronomically, which are the sidereal placements that I use in Vedic astrology. So Saturn is transiting in Sagittarius till January of 2020. But starting around March of 2019, Ketu will enter into Sagittarius. So we will have Saturn transiting with Ketu all along till the time that Saturn moves out of Sagittarius into Capricorn in January of 2020. So between March of 2019 till January of 2020, we will have Ketu and Saturn in the same sign of Sagittarius. Now, what does that mean? Well, Saturn takes away like Ketu. Saturn is the great teacher. It is the planet that is responsibility, gives structure, form to things. And when it comes together with Ketu, this seems like a double negative that could be very difficult. But let me tell you, Saturn will come together with Ketu every 9 years. This is not a rare event. And every 9 years, we don't have a catastrophic, awful event. We just don't. And actually, in my research, I went back to every time that Saturn came together with Ketu for the past 150 years. There was never a horrific event. Now, there was, difficult events, don't get me wrong. But there was far worse events when Saturn was with Rahu, not with Ketu. And I know they say that Rahu is likened to Saturn. But you put Saturn Rahu together and you will have very difficult events. But it will give things, it will give definitely a big change. To give you an idea of some of the events that occurred when Saturn was conjunct Rahu, one was in 1968, which was the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr., as well as Bobby Kennedy. Then you go back to another Saturn Rahu, and there was the sinking of the Titanic. And another Saturn Rahu that was actually in Libra was the assassination of Lincoln. So there has been some very difficult, extreme events during Saturn with Rahu. But Saturn Ketu fell short of any event of that sort. But I went back to the very last time that Saturn was with Ketu, and that would have been in the years of 1870 and 1871. Now remember I said that Saturn comes together with Ketu every 9 years. But the last time it was in the sign of Sagittarius, where it is going to be from the point starting March of 2019 till January of 2020, that 1870 and 1871 was the last time it was in the sign of Sagittarius. And so doing my homework and research, I went back, what happened then? There was an array of extremely destructive fires. One was, and they were within days of each other. October 7th, there was the notorious Chicago fire, and it killed many. But what isn't spoken of as much was on October 8th, there was a forest fire in Wisconsin that killed between 1,200 to 2,500 people. It was the deadliest wildfire recorded in history. So what I want you to know is the Saturn Ketu coming together in the fire sign of Sagittarius is going to bring up more and more fire. People are going to be at odds. It's going to be a hot summer. Last summer was hot. You'd think we get a break, but no, the fire of these planets and the fire really within people is what's being reflected outwardly in the natural events that are destroying many things on Earth. But this is the Saturn Ketu. Things are being dissolved together. So this is a very powerful connection. This is a very powerful transit. And what is Sagittarius? Sagittarius is spirituality. It is our belief system. It rules religion. It's relative to the ninth sign, ninth house, spirituality, religion, our beliefs. These are all being dissolved. All of the traditional beliefs in religion are coming under fire. And this does involve all of the churches around the world. All of the religious leaders around the world are coming under fire, especially the Catholic Church, coming under fire and dissolving. Things will never be the same with most of the churches after this next Saturn Ketu. Going back in history, around the time of 1870 and 1871 and on through the late 1800s, we had the spiritualist movement. This was when Madame Blavatsky came about with the Theosophical Society. This was a time that people reverted from the old dogmatic religious beliefs and views to the more spiritual freeing views that looked at the divine power of God within us, not outside of us. And that's what's here to return. It's a beautiful thing, even though many people will fear it because so many people need to be led. They can't think for themselves. They can't believe they can't take that God out there to recognize it and see it within ourselves, within us. But that's what this Saturn Ketu dissolving effect is going to have on humanity. This is a big change. And I think it's empowering because Saturn is the truth and Ketu is spirituality. And the sign of Sagittarius is religion. It is laws. Therefore, many laws will change, many laws and governments, because this is what it's all about. If you go back to 1962, look at the day around February 3rd of 1962. Oh my God, every planet is in sidereal astrology in Capricorn. Except for excluding the outer planets, of course, and Rahu. But you will have all of the planets, Saturn, Ketu, in the sign of Capricorn. Saturn, Ketu came together with all of the planets. That was intense. What happened in 1962? It was a huge transformation in government and change. And in the United States, there was the Cuban Missile threat. And for those of you that were around during that time, it was really, really scary. It was the Bay of Pigs, Cuba. They had a missile pointed at the United States, and there was fear that any minute it was going to go off. There's going to be many threats here coming up. Will they amount to anything catastrophic? Probably not this year, but it is very, very possible. By the early part of 2020, yes, we're going to see some major, major explosive events. But it is the revolutionary change of spirituality. So many people are angry and fighting back because people are afraid. But the truth will come out. Many of the truths that were around in 1962 and 3, if you know what I mean, with the Kennedys. All of those hidden agendas and secrets will be revealed this coming year about the Kennedy assassination, about the cover-ups, and about the cover-ups particularly about, yes, aliens. I know people laugh at that, but it is serious stuff. Are we really the only people in a universe that has no limits with stars and planets? The only life? I think that's pretty ignorant to believe that. I think it's fear that keeps people stuck in that belief. But it's coming out because it is a reality and truth. So many people have been abducted. And so many people have been disgraced and made fun of for something that is a reality and a truth. Come on. This is a reality. It's time that people wake up. This is Saturn Ketu. Saturn Ketu is going to reveal these cover-ups, these secrets that are so outrageous, outlandish, that are going to create a different belief system and spiritual truth. You'll see. So I want to give you a few interesting degrees that are very, very important over the course of 2019. On May 1st through the 2nd, Saturn will exactly conjunct Ketu at 26 to 27 degrees of Sagittarius. June 23rd, Saturn and Ketu will come together, again exactly at 24 degrees of Sagittarius. And September 28th, Saturn and Ketu will come together at 20 degrees of Sagittarius. I am telling you this because those are important days that major changes will transpire here on planet Earth. And if you have any planets that are those degrees, 26, 27 degrees Sagittarius or Gemini, 24 degrees of Sagittarius or Gemini, 20 degrees of Sagittarius or Gemini. In the sidereal Vedic system, not in Western tropical astrology, this is not what I'm talking about. If you have those degrees, and find out what your Vedic sidereal ascendant is, go to my website, use the free chart calculator, galacticcenter.org. If you have those degrees prominent in your chart, you must prepare because your life will change. Things are about to change in your life. And there's a dissolving of the old, of that doesn't work anymore in your life. The past hidden secrets in your life that are preventing you from this future transformational growth. Everything is about to shift and change this coming next 2 years, 2019 and 2020. Yes, get ready. It's going to be a bumpy ride, but that's planet Earth. We're all here in this together to see what we can bring out and how this world is going to change for the better. But sometimes we have to go through a destructive period to get there. And that's because people can't let go of the past, of the limitations, of the fear. So people have to stop with the fear and open up to the reality and truth and not be afraid. Open to the love. As I've said many times before, there's only two emotions. There's fear and love. And when you open to the love, the truth comes out and there's nothing to be afraid of anymore, because it will give growth and transformation and good things to planet Earth. So get ready for the coming years. Saturn Ketu in Sagittarius will be amazing. So with that, I'd like to close. If you would like more information concerning me or a reading, you can always go to my website, which is galacticcenter.org. If you would like to read my magazine, we have an amazing lineup of astrologers writing profound, thought-producing articles. It is astrologicmagazine.com. And if you would like to learn Vedic astrology, I have a university. Check it out. It is University of Vedic Astrology.com. Thank you.